It was supposed to be my last delivery of the night. At least, that's what I thought. But when I caught a glimpse of the shadow in the upstairs window, everything changed. Imagine yourself in my place. Would you have gone inside, or turned around and never looked back? My name is Alex. For 5 years, I've worked as a delivery driver. It's a simple job. Pick up the package, drop it off, move on to the next. Nothing complicated, nothing unusual, or so I thought. Over the years, I've delivered to every type of place you can think of. Suburban homes, busy downtown apartments, even isolated farms. There's a rhythm to it, a kind of predictability. But that night, it was different. It was late, nearly midnight. The rain had started falling hard, tapping against the windshield as I made my way through quiet streets. The app on my phone buzzed with one last notification, an order marked for a custom location. Coordinates instead of an address. Nothing unusual, but it caught my attention. I entered the coordinates, expecting it to lead to a tucked-away house or maybe an industrial building. But the further I drove, the more unfamiliar the area became. The streetlights disappeared. The sound of the rain felt louder. It was just me, the empty road, and that glowing dot on the map. The map showed I was close, but there were no signs, no landmarks, just overgrown fields and a narrow, winding road. I'll never forget what it felt like in that moment, as if I'd stepped into a place where time had stopped. Then I saw it. A small house at the end of the road, shrouded in darkness, no lights, no movement. The app confirmed this was the drop-off point. I told myself, it's just another delivery. Get it done and head home. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. What I didn't know was how much worse it was about to get. My nights as a delivery driver followed a pattern. It was a routine I'd come to rely on. A rhythm I could almost do in my sleep. Pick up the package, check the app, follow the GPS, and move on to the next stop. Rinse and repeat. By that point in the shift, my mind was on autopilot. I was tired, the kind of tired that creeps in after hours of dodging potholes, navigating poorly lit neighborhoods, and running back and forth in the rain. But I told myself, one more delivery, and I'm done. I glanced at the app. The route loaded fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was marked as a custom location, which usually meant someone living off the grid or somewhere too new for the system to recognize. I didn't think much of it at first. That's the kind of thing you get used to in this job. I double-checked the pickup details, scanned the package, and loaded it into the car. The rain was coming down harder now, streaking the windows and dulling the glow of the streetlights. I pulled out of the parking lot and hit the road, the wipers working overtime to keep my vision clear. The first few turns were uneventful, roads lined with the occasional diner or gas station. The radio played faintly in the background, some local station I hadn't bothered to change. But then the app directed me off the main road. A left turn here, a right turn there, and suddenly, the streets got narrower, the houses more spread out. The glow of the city faded behind me, replaced by long stretches of darkness, interrupted only by the occasional porch light. As I drove further, the neighborhood gave way to open fields. The rain muffled everything outside the car, leaving only the steady hum of the engine and the faint squeak of the wipers. The app told me I was heading in the right direction, but it felt like I was moving further and further from civilization. Then I noticed something strange. The GPS started glitching. The dot that marked my location flickered, skipping ahead and then jumping back. The voice directions cut out mid-sentence, leaving me staring at a spinning loading icon. I pulled over for a moment, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The screen refreshed, and the app recalculated the route, pointing me down a single-lane road I hadn't even noticed before. It was barely visible through the rain, lined with tall trees that cast long, jagged shadows across the pavement. I hesitated. My instincts told me to turn back, but I was close, just a few miles away, according to the app. I turned onto the road, the tires crunching against gravel. It was quiet, too quiet. No passing cars, no distant hum of life. Just the sound of rain tapping against the roof and the occasional rustle of branches in the wind. A mile in, I spotted something that made me slow down. A wooden sign, hand-painted and crooked, nailed to a tree on the side of the road. The paint had faded, but I could still make out the words, "Private property, no trespassing." I glanced at the app again. It insisted I was still on the right path. Maybe it's one of those rural places where people like to keep to themselves, I thought. Still, something about the sign made me uneasy. A few minutes later, the road narrowed even further, the trees on either side pressing closer. The rain was coming down in sheets now, blurring the windshield despite the wipers. The GPS signal cut out completely, leaving me driving aimlessly down a road that seemed to stretch forever. That's when I saw it, a second sign, this one leaning against a rusted fence post. Unlike the first, this one wasn't a warning. It was just a word, scrawled in red paint, welcome. The way it was written, it didn't feel welcoming at all. I rolled past it, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. The air inside the car felt heavier, colder. I kept telling myself it was just another delivery, but for the first time in a long while, I wasn't so sure. The house came into view just moments later, a small structure almost swallowed by the shadows of the trees surrounding it. No lights, no cars in the driveway. The app chimed, confirming I'd arrived at the drop-off point. But as I stared at the darkened windows, a sinking feeling settled in my chest. This didn't feel like a place where someone was expecting a delivery. It felt like a place where something was waiting for me. I should have turned around right then, but I didn't. I parked the car on the uneven gravel, the sound of the tires crunching loud in the stillness. I turned off the engine, and for the first time in a while, silence surrounded me. No humming engine, no static from the radio, just the steady drumming of rain on the roof. I reached for the package in the passenger seat and checked my phone one last time. The app showed I was in the right place. But as I stared at the blank screen, the GPS completely frozen, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a mistake. I glanced at the house again. It wasn't just old, it looked abandoned. The paint was peeling, the windows were blacked out, and the porch sagged under the weight of years of neglect. There was no car in the driveway, no lights visible inside, but someone had ordered this delivery, right? As I sat there, debating whether to step out, the radio crackled. I hadn't touched it. The station was already tuned to something faint, just static mixed with faint voices I couldn't make out. At first, I thought it was interference from the storm, but then it changed. A voice broke through, sharp and clear, as though someone was sitting right next to me. "Are you alone?" I froze, staring at the radio, my breath caught in my chest. The static returned almost immediately, swallowing the voice like it had never been there. I tried to brush it off. "It's just the weather," I told myself. But my hands shook as I grabbed the package and stepped out into the rain. The rain was heavier now, soaking through my jacket within seconds. I hurried up the driveway, the package tucked under my arm. The gravel shifted under my feet, the sound louder than I expected in the silence around me. When I reached the porch, I stopped. The door was ajar, not fully open, but just enough to make me hesitate. I called out, "Hello? Delivery." No response, just the rain behind me and the faint creak of the porch as I shifted my weight. Something inside me screamed to turn around, to leave the package there and walk away. But my feet stayed planted. I stepped closer to the door, peering into the darkness inside. I couldn't see much beyond the doorway. The interior was dim, lit only by the occasional flicker of what I thought was a dying light bulb. There was something off about the air. It smelled stale, like a place that hadn't been lived in for years. But there were signs of life. A chair tipped over in the hallway. A faint, wet footprint leading from the doorway deeper into the house. I stepped back, my heart pounding, and nearly dropped the package when my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message. From the customer. "Are you at the door?" I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. Before I could respond, another message came through. "Are you alone?" I looked up at the house, then behind me, half expecting to see someone standing there. But the driveway was empty. The rain had washed away any trace of my own footsteps. Something was wrong. I knew that much. But I couldn't move, couldn't bring myself to leave without knowing who or what was inside. I stepped onto the porch, trying to keep my breathing steady. The package felt heavier now, the weight digging into my arms. I knocked on the door, the sound echoing into the empty house. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. "Delivery!" I called out, my voice cracking slightly. Still nothing. And then I heard it. A faint thud, like something falling over, coming from inside. I stepped back, my pulse racing. My first thought was to leave, but as I turned to walk away, I heard something else, a voice. Faint, barely audible, it came from just beyond the door. "Help me." I froze, the words chilling me to my core. I looked at the door, the package, then back at the driveway. Every instinct I had screamed to leave, but my feet wouldn't move. The voice came again, softer this time, almost a whisper. "Please, help me." I couldn't ignore it. I reached out, pushing the door open just a little more. The sound of the creaking hinges echoed into the house. What little light there was barely reached beyond the threshold. My eyes strained to adjust as I stepped inside, the air cold and thick. A shadow at the end of the hallway. It didn't move, didn't make a sound. It was just standing there, watching me. I wanted to run. I should have run, but instead I called out, "Hello?" The shadow didn't respond. It didn't move, but somewhere deeper in the house, something else did. The door creaked open wider as I stepped inside, the sound echoing through the empty house. The air was colder here, damp and heavy, as if it had been shut off from the world for years. The package in my hands felt heavier with every step. I glanced around, my eyes struggling to adjust to the dim light. There was a single bulb swinging gently from the ceiling, casting long, shifting shadows across the walls. I called out, "Hello? I have your delivery." My voice sounded small, swallowed by the oppressive silence. No response. I thought about leaving the package on the floor, right by the door, and getting out. But then I heard it again, a faint whisper, so soft it could have been the wind. But it wasn't the wind. The hallway stretched out in front of me, narrow and cluttered with strange objects. There were pictures on the walls, but the faces in them, they'd been scratched out. Not with a pen or marker. Deep gouges, like someone had clawed at the photos with bare hands. A broken doll sat in the corner, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, one glassy eye staring at me. I stepped carefully, my shoes sticking slightly to the floor, and noticed what looked like dried stains trailing deeper into the house. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A mirror, hanging at the end of the hallway. It wasn't cracked or old. It was spotless, almost too clean. But my reflection, it didn't look right. The lighting, the angle, it wasn't possible, but I swear, for a split second my reflection moved before I did. I turned away from the mirror, telling myself it was just my imagination. I needed to deliver the package and get out. As I moved further into the house, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. It wasn't just one voice, it was several, overlapping, speaking too fast for me to understand. Then came the footsteps, soft at first, like someone was walking barefoot on the wooden floor. They weren't coming from behind me or ahead of me. They seemed to echo all around, as if the house itself was alive. I stopped in my tracks, clutching the package tightly. My breath came in shallow gasps. That's when I felt it. A presence. It wasn't something I could see, but I knew. I wasn't alone. Before I could move, the whispers stopped. Dead silence. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw it. A figure standing at the end of the hallway. Tall and motionless, its head tilted slightly, as if observing me. I opened my mouth to say something, but no sound came out. It didn't move at first. It just stood there, a shadow darker than the dim light should have allowed. Then it started walking toward me, slowly, deliberately. The floorboards creaked under its weight, each step louder than the last. I stumbled backward, dropping the package, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. "Stay back," I shouted, my voice cracking, but it didn't stop. As it got closer, I could see its face, or rather the lack of one. Its features were blurred like a smudge on a camera lens, but I could feel its eyes on me. It radiated something primal, something that made every instinct in my body scream to run. I turned and ran, my feet slipping on the slick floor. The whispers started again, louder now, blending into a cacophony that drowned out my thoughts. Behind me, the footsteps quickened. It was chasing me. I stumbled into a room, slamming the door shut behind me. My hands fumbled for a lock, but there wasn't one. The whispers seemed to seep through the walls, wrapping around me. The room was small, cluttered with furniture covered in sheets. I tried to catch my breath, my back pressed against the door. Then the footsteps stopped. For a moment, all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. I thought maybe, just maybe, it was over, but then the door handle turned. I backed away as the door creaked open. It didn't burst in. It opened slowly, deliberately, as if whatever was on the other side wanted me to know it was in control. I grabbed the nearest object, a heavy lamp, and held it in front of me like a weapon. The door swung open fully, but there was nothing there. No figure, no sound, just the empty hallway beyond. I didn't wait to find out what was happening. I bolted past the door, sprinting toward the front of the house. The whispers followed me, growing louder, more frantic. I burst through the front door and into the rain, my lungs burning. I didn't stop until I was back in the car, slamming the door shut and locking it. I sat there, drenched and shaking, trying to catch my breath. The rain pounded against the windows, but inside the car, it felt eerily quiet. I glanced at the package still lying on the passenger seat. Only it wasn't the same package. The box was torn, the edges frayed, as if someone or something had been inside. I reached out with trembling hands and opened it. Inside was a single item, a photograph. It was a picture of me, taken moments earlier, standing at the doorway of the house. I didn't take the photo, and I don't know who or what did. I didn't waste a second. My hands were shaking so badly it took 2 tries to get the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life, and I threw the car into reverse, gravel spraying as I backed out of the driveway. I didn't look back at the house. I didn't want to. I could feel it, whatever it was, watching me, waiting. As I sped down the road, the rain seemed to let up, but the darkness pressed in closer, as if the night itself was trying to swallow me whole. The headlights barely pierced the mist, and every shadow on the road seemed to shift and move. My heart didn't stop racing, not even as I hit the main road. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see something following me. But there was nothing there, or so I thought. A mile or 2 down the road, I noticed something in the corner of my eye, a flicker of movement in the mirror. I told myself it was the rain or my imagination playing tricks on me, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I checked the mirror again. This time I saw it. A figure. Sitting in the back seat, I swerved, nearly driving off the road. When I looked back, the seat was empty. I pulled over, my chest heaving, and turned on the cabin lights. There was nothing there. No wet footprints, no sign anyone or anything had been in the car. But I couldn't shake the feeling. I drove the rest of the way home with one eye on the road and one on the mirror, my fingers gripping the wheel so tightly they ached. When I finally pulled into my driveway, it felt like I'd been holding my breath for hours. My house, my safe place, looked the same as always. But as I sat there in the car, I couldn't bring myself to get out. I kept scanning the street, the yard, the shadows between the trees. It felt like something had followed me. But no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't see anything. I grabbed the package, the photograph still inside, and bolted for the front door. Once I was inside, I locked every door, checked every window, and turned on every light. But the house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt off, like it wasn't mine anymore. The next morning, I called the police. I told them everything, or at least the parts that wouldn't make me sound insane. They took my statement and said they'd send someone to check out the house. A few hours later, I got a call back. The officer on the other end sounded confused. "There's no house at that location," he said. "Just an empty lot." I thought he was joking. I'd been there, I'd walked through the door, stood in that hallway. But he insisted. He even sent me a photo, an overgrown field with no sign of a driveway, let alone a house. That was the moment I knew. Whatever had happened to me, it wasn't something the police could explain. I quit my job the next day. I couldn't keep doing it, not after that night. For weeks, I avoided going out after dark. Even in my own home, I kept the lights on, double-checked every lock. But no matter what I did, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear faint knocks at the door. Other times, I'd catch movement in the corner of my eye, just a shadow, gone as soon as I turned my head. And then there were the dreams. Dreams of that house, of the figure in the hallway, of that photograph staring back at me. I thought I'd escaped it. I thought I'd left that night behind me. But 2 weeks later, I got a notification on my phone, a new delivery request. When I opened the app, my stomach dropped. The address was the same, the custom location, but there was no name attached to the order this time. Just a message, "You forgot something." I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. I tried to delete the app, but the notification wouldn't go away. "It's still there. even now, a reminder of a place I can't escape, a place I'll never go back to. But sometimes late at night, when the rain is heavy, I hear it again. The voice on the radio, faint and crackling. Are you alone? The story I've just told you, it still haunts me. Even now, I can't explain what really happened that night. Was it all just a coincidence? A string of strange events that my mind pieced together into something more? Or was it something beyond explanation? Something truly paranormal? What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe some of you have experienced something similar, a moment when the ordinary became extraordinary in the worst way possible. Have you ever had a terrifying experience while working? Maybe it wasn't as intense as this, or maybe it was even worse. If you're comfortable, I invite you to share your story in the comments below. Who knows, maybe your story could be the next one I tell here. Do you think the house was real? Or was it something else entirely? And what about the figure in the hallway? Do you believe it was just my imagination? Or was there truly something waiting for me in that house? I've been trying to piece it all together ever since, but maybe I'll never know the full truth. That's the thing about stories like this. They leave you with more questions than answers. If you thought this story was scary, just wait until you hear the tale of the pizza driver who went missing on Halloween night. What started as an innocent delivery turned into something no one could have imagined. I'll be sharing that story next week, so make sure you don't miss it. Before you go, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the story. It really helps the channel and lets me know you want more content like this. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll be the first to know when new stories are posted. We're building a community of people who love these chilling tales, and your support makes it all possible. Thank you for joining me on this journey tonight. And remember, the next time you're out late at night, on an empty road, or delivering to a place that doesn't feel quite right, be careful. Because some places aren't what they seem. And sometimes once you've entered, you might never leave.